Well, thank y'all for tuning in the video today. Today we're going to discuss the Banks IDash, okay? Now y'all know I put it in all of my vehicles, and that's one of the things I really like about the IDash is when you own it, you can put it in each vehicle and it works. You just plug it in. It's got the OBD thing that plugs in down there. Piece of cake, okay? You just go in there and select which vehicle it is. The other thing that's really nice is it takes a little SD card that goes in the bottom down here. And so Banks is always working on updates. So as new trucks come out, you're going to be able to update this thing. So, you know, if you can't force a regen or something like that because you've got a new year model, as soon as that updates out, you can upload it and you're going to have the capabilities. So you're not buying an obsolete piece of equipment, and that's one of the reasons I really like the IDash. Now we'll get into why I like the IDash, and that is really, if you've ever been going down the road and you get a check engine light, you're towing, you're out of town, you're 1,500 miles, middle of nowhere, you don't know what's wrong, okay? And so for me, it's really nice because you can literally go over here and you push this button. You can go into Diagnostics right here in the vehicle, check your vehicle codes, recall previous codes, or clear vehicle codes. So at least if you're on the road and you have a problem, you have some sort of way to go in there and look and see what the problem is, if it's an emissions or catalyst problem. And even if you get that reduced speed, or your vehicle won't restart after X amount of miles and it's an emissions code, you can possibly clear it out, you know, or you can look and see what the problem is and possibly fix it. So, you know, that's just a peace of mind for me, and I really like that. I generally use that as a reader only, and like I said, every vehicle, and you can see the pods that they make. This stealth pod for this truck, I mean, it looks like it's built in perfect, and the wire just runs in the pillar here, runs down to the OBD2 port. So this is just a reader. I mean, you can hook it up to all the Banks things. If you have a pedal monster, if you've got the Derringer, you know, all those things just plug into it and you can control them from right here, which is really nice. So anyway, really like the Banks product. I'm gonna put a link to it. If you want to order you one, it'll be right here. I'll get it posted for you. And you know, just overall, it's just a nice product to have. And then the other thing is, I can tell you about emissions and what I monitor on my truck, okay? Now, on the GM truck, what you'll notice is it'll go from 0 to 100, and then it does a regen at 100. Now, the Ram and the Fords that I've driven, these are all 24 models, late models, these will actually do an active regen. And so you can see right now it's at 75%. If I'm going down the highway, this thing may turn on and it may drop it down to 20 or 30%, you know? And basically I like that because if I'm on the highway and I'm running and it's got the exhaust temp up, it goes ahead and utilizes it and cleans it out, where the GM generally won't do that. It actually won't do it, and if it's in the middle of it, it'll stop. If you slow down or you hit the brakes and your exhaust temp drops, it'll start all over again, you know? And so that's a lot of times why you get some emissions codes on those trucks, because it goes to 100%. These trucks do active and the Ford does active, which I really like both of those. But without the Banks IDash, you can't see that information. The other thing I will tell you is, I don't remember doing it on the Ford, but on the Ram and on the GM, the fuel gauge is generally only right 3 times, which is very weird. Like right now, let's look at my fuel level right here, okay? So when it's at 50%, it'll be at 50, but you could, you know, you could say like, it's not as off right now, but like when it's at full, it will not drop off the full until this gets down to almost 86 or 85%. So the fuel sending unit in the tank is actually monitoring that 15%, but the gauge doesn't show it. That's why it just stays on full. You would think, well, the sending unit's not reading all the way to the top. That's not true. My GM truck did that also. And I'm not saying that the Fords don't, because I haven't tested on the Ford. I didn't really pay that much attention to it, but I know some both my other vehicles that it did do that, you know. So it gets pretty accurate at the E, it gets pretty accurate at 50%, and it gets pretty accurate at 88 to 89%. It'll start showing. But it's interesting that you don't get to monitor that 15%, that the ECM actually knows what that percentage is. And so anyway, just some of the PIDs. You can go in here and select any custom PIDs that you want. Like, let me show you. You can go into gauge selection, gauge layout, And you can have 4 gauges, 8 gauges. You can select whatever you want on there. Ones I watch, basically RPM. I want to know my fuel level, my DPF percentage in Regen. So this tells me how full my DPF is. And then whether it's in active Regen or not. Okay, now if the truck is in active Regen, a lot of times if it's on, I'm going to keep trying to drive it a little bit more and let it complete that Regen. Okay. The other thing I will do is if I pull into the garage or I'm getting home and this thing is it just came out of a Regen or it's on Regen, I'll generally park it outside. I'll put it in park and let the exhaust cool down a little bit. You know, totally up to you on what you want to do. That's just my preferences, but just some things that help monitor these diesel engines. A lot of people don't, you know, they make it as hands-off as they can, but as a user and understanding that that DPF needs to be cleaned out or you're going to have problems in the future, you know, idling, how it fills up, how you get good clean outs, all those things come into play, right? So if you're a city person that just drives around the city, you never really get it on the highway and you do a lot of idling, you're going to have some problems with your emission system. The other thing is too, on Rams, the GMs have it too. This is built in. A lot of people don't know about it. You can hit the cruise and hit the down. You will see it idle up. So if I'm going to be idling for any extended period of time, it also helps the air conditioner and the fluids and the coolant and your oil pressure, all those things come up instead of sitting there idling. And generally you hit that, it'll go up to like 1100. You can see it perfectly. But what you can do is you can hit the set plus if you want. I generally just let it run at 1100, but you can hold set plus down. Let's just say I take it to 1500 and it'll sit here and run at 1500. Okay, that's going to help your DPF. Like I said, generally I use the 1100, so I'll turn it back off and then hit the cruise and then hit the down. All of your Rams, even I think my 12 and my 13 model had that built in. A lot of people don't know that that's there, but if you're going to sit and idle for a while, best to go ahead and hit that, let it idle up. It helps keep that exhaust temp up and keep that catalyst clean. So anyway, just kind of want to go over the Banks IDash again. It's down in the bottom. You get a discount for my link with Banks. I'll put a coupon code in there also. If you click the link, I think you automatically get the discount. Thank you for watching the video. If it helped you any, please hit that like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.